Hello, Cule family. Like and subscribe to the channel to know everything about Barcelona. In this video, we have a historic bombshell at Barcelona. But first, we need to talk about some very important topics concerning our beloved club. Let's move on to the first one. Barcelona is going through a decisive moment in its sports planning, in a period where every move, every piece placed on the chessboard will determine the direction of the coming years. With Hansi Flick already on the bench and a renewed project that aims for both immediate and long-term presence, the club has managed to finalize the transfer of Nico Williams, one of the most sought-after players in European football. A pure winger, vertical, with dribbles, goals, and a competitive character. His arrival not only meets an obvious need of the team but also represents a statement of intent from the new technical staff. It calls for a fast, brave, and lethal Barcelona on the sides. From a Cule perspective, Nico's transfer is a resounding success. He is the type of player who raises the collective level and can make a difference from the first minute. Young, hungry, with experience in the first division and national team, and with a technical profile that fits perfectly into the club's offensive philosophy. His arrival in the locker room is excellent news for Barcelona supporters. An injection of speed and pure talent that makes us rub our hands thinking about the next season. The excitement of seeing him at Camp Nou, dribbling on the side and driving the opposing defenses crazy, is immense. He is a gem of a footballer who promises to make us vibrate. However, this same operation that has filled a large part of the supporters with enthusiasm brings with it a possible consequence that has set off all the alarms in the heart of every Cule who loves the identity of this club: the possible departure of Fermin Lopez. And as a Cule, it is impossible not to feel a deep concern, almost a pain at this possibility. Fermin represents a lot, enormously, for this club. He is not just a player, he is a symbol. He is a homegrown player, a midfielder who has fought at every stage of his career, who has broken down doors through football, non-negotiable effort, and an overwhelming personality that allows him not to back down from anything. His breakthrough into the first team last season was not the result of chance or coincidence, but of constant work, tactical maturity, and an innate ability to reach the opponent's box with brute power and make a difference with goals and decisive passes. He is a modern midfielder, one of those who has the goal, a healthy aggression in recovery, an enviable physical deployment, and refined technique. Talking about the possible sale of Fermin is not talking about cold numbers or financial statements. It is talking about identity. It is talking about the soul of the team. It is talking about the deep connection between the pitch and the stands. That intangible magic that makes Barcelona so much more than a club. And this, Culers, cannot be measured in millions of euros. It is true, of course, that his release clause is 500 million, a figure that demonstrates the faith the club has in him. It is true that he has a contract until 2029 and that clubs in Europe are willing to pay up to 50 million euros for his services. But what Barcelona would lose with his departure, with that money, cannot be recovered with a simple sum of money. We would lose a player forged in the fires of LAMINE, an authentic product of our philosophy, a story of overcoming that connects directly with what we were in our golden eras and with what we want to become again in the future. We understand, of course, that the club has to make tough decisions in the current context. The pressing economic context forces us to act with extreme pragmatism, to free up salary mass, to find resources where previously financial muscle was used without as many precautions. But what the institution cannot do is give up its essence, what makes us unique, what distinguishes us from others. And Fermin is the pure essence of Barcelona. His commitment, his grit, his goals, his connection with the stands. Are we really ready to sacrifice a talent who has shown every time he has stepped on the grass that he can compete at the highest level and gives his all for this badge, just to balance the accounts? Are there no other alternatives, other formulas, other players who could leave before letting go of one of the most precious assets we have, not only on a sporting level but also identitary? The answer must be a categorical no. The transfer of Nico, I insist, is extraordinary. It is a success that makes us dream, but it cannot be accompanied by the message that for one talent to enter, another from our home with our DNA must leave, because Barcelona must build a solid, versatile team, with different variants in all positions, with alternatives that complement and reinforce each other. And Fermin and Nico are not incompatible at all. Quite the opposite, they represent two different and complementary ways of breaking lines, generating danger. One does it from the outside with that diabolical speed and electrifying dribble. The other does it from the inside with intelligence, power, a devastating arrival in the box, and a scoring ability that surprises. Both can coexist perfectly in an ambitious and offensive scheme like the one presumed with Hansi Flick. In fact, the great teams in Europe have precisely that: an inexhaustible reserve, luxury solutions on the bench, fierce internal competition that raises the level of all players. Letting Fermin go would be disarming ourselves voluntarily, weakening one of the areas where we most need talent and versatility. Moreover, Kühlers, there is something that must not be forgotten, a factor that is often underestimated in the cold world of offices. Fermin does not want to leave. He has said it publicly, he has shown it through his attitudes on the field, through his words of love for the club, and especially through performances that demonstrate his unwavering commitment. He wants to triumph here, at the Barcelona of his dreams. He knows what it takes to reach the elite and is not ready to give up at the first obstacle. And this, family, is added value, an invaluable asset in modern football. Is it really worth sacrificing a player with the talent, character, and DNA of Fermin López to balance the accounts, when the money from his sale might not be as decisive as it is painted? Shouldn't we firmly bet on a model in which talents like his, from Armesia and with unconditional love for the badge, are absolutely non-negotiable in the first team? Don't you think we are facing a decision that can mark the destiny of the team for better or for worse, not only on a sporting level but also in the emotional connection with our values? The second piece of news concerns a very important decision for the club. Xavi Simons has made a notable entry onto Barcelona's radar, and all indications are that we are facing one of those market opportunities that can shape the destiny of a sports project. At just 22 years old, with a history that already includes stints in some of the most demanding leagues on the continent, the talented Dutch footballer presents himself as a more than interesting alternative to strengthen the offensive front of a team that, under the direction of Hansi Flick, seeks to regain control of the game, verticality, and the essence that once defined it as the best in the world. Solid information is coming from Germany. RB Leipzig, which definitively acquired the player in the last transfer window for around €50 million, hoped to quickly place the young international in another club this summer, making a good profit from the operation. However, the plan is not unfolding as expected. The lack of formal offers and doubts about his recent performance have stalled the situation, and this is precisely where Barcelona comes into play. Joan Laporta, always attentive to strategic opportunities, is seriously evaluating the possibility of presenting an offer for Simons. The Blaugrana president understands that this type of player, with proven technical quality, young, hungry, and ambitious, are those who must form the core of the new project. These are not mere additions to fill quotas or address specific gaps. They are pieces that can become starters over time, who can make a difference from the bench, and who, with good sports management, can increase in value in the medium term. Laporta knows that this is the way to go and that if Leipzig is having trouble selling, it could be the perfect moment to intervene strongly in the negotiations and conclude a deal favorable to all parties. Xavi, for his part, does not view the idea of returning to Spanish football unfavorably. He knows the league, understands the language, and his style of play fits perfectly into the model proposed by Barcelona. His time in French, German, and Dutch football has given him a maturity that few players of his age possess. He is versatile, can occupy multiple attacking positions, and has the ability to play as an offensive midfielder, winger, or even as an offensive interior in more audacious schemes. His vision of the game, his ability to combine, his dribbling, and his mid-range shooting make him a very valuable tactical resource. And the best part is that he still has a lot of room for improvement. In a competitive environment, with a clear idea of the game and a technical staff that knows how to develop his potential, he can definitively explode as an international-level star. The main obstacle remains the price. RB Leipzig maintains its valuation close to €70 million, but the market is not responding with the enthusiasm that the German club had hoped for. Adding to this is an element that adds more uncertainty: Xavi's own decision to entrust his career to his brother Faustino, someone without experience in operations of this magnitude. This has generated some mistrust among certain clubs that prefer to avoid unstructured negotiations. But Barcelona, which has already known how to navigate complicated markets and high-complexity operations, may find an opportunity in this chaos. If a serious, sporting, and personal project is offered and an operation is structured with intelligent variables and reasonable objectives, the deal could be closed for a figure lower than that initially requested by Leipzig. On the sporting level, Hansi Flick has given his approval to the possible arrival of the Dutchman. The German coach appreciates his versatility and considers that he could be an important piece both in the present and in the future. For Flick, Xavi Simons represents the type of footballer who can make a difference when the game plan stalls, who can bring freshness from the bench, or even consolidate himself as a starter if he demonstrates the expected level. Furthermore, his youth makes him a tactical sponge capable of adapting quickly to new ideas and demands. In a team like the one the German wants to build, where mobility, high pressing, play between the lines, and rapid ball circulation are rewarded, Xavi can find the perfect habitat to shine. From an emotional point of view, his transfer would also represent a boost for the Cule supporters, not only for his name but for what he represents. A brave, intelligent, risky, but sensible bet. Barcelona supporters are tired of operations without criteria, of incorporations that respond more to marketing than to technical analysis. They want to see hungry players, eager to leave their mark, who arrive to add, to grow, and to be part of something bigger. Xavi embodies this. He has the profile of a player who pleases at Camp Nou, technical, daring, combinative, with character and a personality that does not hide from great challenges. With him, the club would not only add a player but a message. That of continuing to bet on young talent, on spectacular football, and on a project that is not built overnight but has solid foundations to return to the top. The big question now is whether Laporta will dare to make a move. Is the president ready to sit down with Leipzig and the players' entourage to present an offer that satisfies everyone? Can the club structure a financial operation that allows for the incorporation without compromising economic balance? Is the sports management ready to bet big on Xavi and make him one of the figures of the new project? The answers must come soon because the market moves fast and opportunities do not wait. And from here, from the Cule heart, I ask the question that many of us are asking ourselves. What do you think of this possible incorporation? Do you think Xavi Simons can be a key piece for the future of the team? Don't you think he fits perfectly into the style of play that has historically defined us? Wouldn't this be a successful operation in every way? Personally, I am convinced that this is the time to bet on him, to go for a talent that has not yet reached its ceiling, that has the character to grow in a demanding environment, and that can offer much more than what the media reports show today. Because this Barcelona that we want to build must not only be a team of established names, but a team of growing talents, of players who arrive with hunger, with illusion, with ambition. And Xavi Simons meets all these conditions. The club has in its hands the possibility of concluding a brilliant, strategic, and coherent operation with its model. All that remains is to take the step, because recruiting with vision is the difference between improvising and building. And this Barcelona needs to build with its head, with its heart, and with players like Xavi. The third piece of news is a major bombshell at Barcelona. The figure of Miguel Gutierrez has gained prominence in recent weeks as the transfer market has started to move, and everything indicates that his future is far from Girona. Napoli, Juventus, and Milan have shown serious interest in his services, and for good reason. The young left-back has been one of the standout names of the season in La Liga. His consistency, tactical maturity, offensive capability, and physical performance make him a priority target for several European teams. However, contrary to what many expected, the club that could deliver the decisive blow is not Italian, but Spanish, and more specifically Catalan. That's right, Barcelona has entered the scene, and according to sources close to the players' entourage and the club, Joan Laporta is very seriously considering activating the operation. With the approval of Hansi Flick, the possibility is turning into a real sporting threat for those who intended to take the young defender without competition from the peninsula. From a Cule perspective, it's hard not to get excited about this move. Miguel Gutierrez is not an ordinary player. He is 23 years old and has had a very high-level season in La Liga with Girona. 36 official matches, 2 goals, 3 assists, and a technical ability for his position that is not common. He is a left-back with a vision of the game, consistency in passing, good crossing, an ability to play inside when necessary, and defensive solidity that he has honed intelligently. His profile fits perfectly with the idea of play that Hansi Flick wants to implement in this renewed Barcelona. A more vertical, more aggressive team, with deep fullbacks, but also tactically responsible. Miguel possesses all these virtues and, above all, has room for improvement. His ceiling is far from being reached. Joan Laporta is no stranger to this context. The president, always skillful in political and strategic play, knows that an operation like this could strengthen not only the team on a footballing level but also symbolically. Let's not forget a crucial detail. Miguel Gutierrez is a former Real Madrid youth player, and for Barcelona to make him one of its star recruits would not only be a sporting masterstroke but also a symbolic blow that shakes the foundations of the eternal rival. It would undoubtedly be an elegant and forceful way to repay so many past grievances. And in football, symbols matter a lot. What is most striking in this scenario is that Real Madrid, which still retains a percentage of the players' rights, is watching from afar, perhaps waiting for $1 million sale that would bring them indirect benefits, perhaps underestimating Miguel's true value in the elite. But while they doubt, in Barcelona, they plan, act, and execute. The Catalan club has demonstrated in recent transfer windows a new way of operating, seeking young talents with room for improvement, a competitive character, and who can perform from the first minute. Miguel represents this and more. His estimated cost of around €25 million is manageable in a context of necessity if it is understood as an investment for the future. And in this case, the return is not only sporting, but institutional. Furthermore, the fact that Hansi Flick has given his approval so quickly reinforces the idea that we are not facing an improvised operation. The German coach is meticulous. He studies each profile, analyzes each adjustment, and evaluates not only individual quality but also collective compatibility. For him, Miguel would be a high-value tactical tool. He can play as a classic fullback, as a wingback if a line of three is used, and could even be part of more hybrid schemes requiring positional intelligence. His ability to provide width but also to close spaces inside gives him an advantage over other players in the market. The Kuhl supporters, for their part, need new references, players who generate excitement, who inspire through their play and not just their name. And here, Miguel has everything to connect with the Camp Nou crowd. He is young, talented, humble, trained in Spain, and hungry for competition. He doesn't need to learn the language or adapt culturally. He is ready to make the leap. All that remains is for the club to make the final decision. And now comes the most important part. What do we think as Kuhls? Are we ready to see a former Madrid youth player, whom they themselves let slip away, become a key piece of the new Blaugrana project? Does the idea of seeing Miguel Gutierrez go up and down the left flank, bringing balance, depth, and freshness to our 11 excite us? Isn't this a move that represents what Barcelona of the future should be? Audacious, intelligent, and without complexes. For me, the answer is clear. Miguel Gutierrez is a market opportunity that cannot be missed, for what he brings now and for what he can become, for his technical profile, for his mentality, for his experience in La Liga, and yes, also for the symbolism of showing the eternal rival that here, we know how to value talent. The club must act with speed and determination. It's no longer about competing only with the Italian teams. It's about asserting that Barcelona is alive, that it has ambition, that it knows what it wants, and that it has a clear idea of how to build a competitive team based on common sense and not on media transfers or overvalued names. The arrival of Miguel would be another step in this direction, a coherent, planned, and technically supported bet, a strategic investment that responds to tactical needs as well as the emotional needs of a club seeking to become great again through authenticity, because in the end, that's what we want, the Kuhls, a team that makes us vibrate again, that recovers the essence, but does so with intelligence. And recruiting Miguel Gutierrez is not just a good transfer, it's a message and it's a victory even before he puts on the Blaugrana jersey. So I ask this question to all Kuhl supporters. Are you ready to see Barcelona snatch a gem from Madrid that they themselves let slip away? Wouldn't it be wonderful to see Miguel shine at Camp Nou while in Madrid they lament letting him go too soon? The transfer market is open, the cards are on the table, and Barcelona, if it decides, can win this hand with intelligence and courage, because it's not just about recruiting, it's about building. And Miguel Gutierrez, without a doubt, can be one of the pillars of this new Blaugrana construction that we are all waiting for.